The great space station of Varel Prime floated silently in orbit above the neutral zone. Built by the Galactic Council, it was a symbol of peace, diplomacy, and power. Ships from 100 alien civilizations surrounded it, each sleek, massive, and shining with advanced technology. The Galactic Council had called a meeting to speak about Earth. Humanity had grown fast, jumping from local space travel to deep space exploration in less than a century. Some species felt threatened, others found humans interesting. A few, like the powerful Dravix Empire, only saw them as weak and foolish. The council chamber was shaped like a giant ring, with glowing seats floating in the air. Each seat was for a delegate, and the largest seat sat High Commander Raxilov. The Dravix, a tall creature covered in silver-green scales. He smiled with sharp teeth as he watched the new arrival enter the chamber. It was the HSS Audacity, Earth's first and only official warship. The ship looked small, too small. It had a simple gray hull, no visible weapons, and no escort ships. It moved slowly, carefully taking its place among giants, the room filled with quiet laughter. "Is that a cargo ship?" hissed a furry delegate from the Munari clans. "Looks like it's made of scrap metal," someone else said. Commander Raxel leaned forward, his voice loud and mocking. "So, this is what humanity sends to a council meeting. One tiny ship with no claws or teeth. Perhaps it got lost." More laughter followed. Even the more peaceful species found it hard to hide their smiles. But Captain Alara Voss, the lone representative from Earth and commander of the Audacity, said nothing. She sat straight in her chair, dressed in a simple navy blue uniform. Her eyes were calm. She did not react to the insults inside the Audacity. There was no crew, not a large one, at least. Just Captain Voss and a highly advanced AI known only as Argus. The ship had no need for hundreds of officers like other warships. It had been built differently. Silently, secretly, a soft voice echoed in her earpiece. "Council scanning our systems, shield integrity holding. Cloaked systems remain hidden." It was Argus, always watching. "Let them laugh," Voss replied under her breath. The meeting began. The Dravix complained loudly about human colonies near their borders. They claimed humans were expanding too quickly, using dangerous technologies, and ignoring ancient galactic laws. "They are reckless," Raxel growled. "And they dare call this toy a warship? I suggest we show them what real power is." He slammed his clawed hand on the table. "Tomorrow, the Dravix fleet will perform a weapons demonstration. Let the humans learn their place." Some council members clapped, others looked uncomfortable but said nothing. Earth was still new to galactic politics. They had no allies yet. Captain Voss finally stood. "Earth accepts your invitation," she said calmly. "In return, the Audacity will also give a short demonstration." There was silence. Then more laughter. "You call that ship a weapon?" Raxel laughed. "Very well. You may join the show. Just try not to fall apart when we open fire." As the meeting ended, Voss turned and walked silently back to her ship. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. Inside the Audacity, the lights dimmed as the systems prepared for the next day. Deep in its core, a strange device sat humming. It was not large. It didn't glow or shine. But it pulsed quietly, as if alive. No one outside. The ship knew what it was. Not even most humans. It had no name. Just a code name. One-shot protocol. Back in the council chamber, a few delegates whispered among themselves. "Why is the human so calm?" One asked. "Perhaps she knows she can't win." Another replied. But far above them, alone among a sky of giants, the little gray ship floated like a shadow in the stars. And inside, Captain Voss whispered to herself, "They all think size matters." The next day, the ships gathered in formation above a lifeless moon in the neutral zone. It was an old moon, empty and rocky, chosen for one reason: target practice. The Galactic Council had turned this day into a public show. Thousands of smaller observer ships floated nearby. Diplomats, scientists, and military leaders watched through live feeds. Many wanted to witness the Dravix show off their firepower. Even more were curious about the human ship, the HSS Audacity. Captain Alara Voss, stood on her command platform, looking at the view screen. The rocky moon spun slowly ahead. Around it, massive warships of the Dravix Empire pointed their weapons, ready for the demonstration. Argus, the ship's AI, spoke softly. Dravix fleet positioned, target moon locked, observers online. Let them begin, Voss replied. A deep voice echoed through the council's channel. This is High Commander Raxel of the Dravix. Prepare to witness true power. A moment later, the Dravix ships opened fire. Brilliant beams of red and gold light shot through space. Missiles screamed across the void. Plasma cannons glowed as they poured energy onto the surface of the moon. The rocky body shook. Craters formed. Fire danced across the surface. The bombardment lasted for 10 long minutes. At last, the moon split in half with a loud crack, pieces drifting apart slowly in zero gravity. Applause and cheers rang out in the council ships. Commander Raxel's voice returned, proud and loud. This is what it means to be strong. Now, let us see what the Audacity can do. Most expected the human ship to back down, surely. It could not match the firepower they had just witnessed. Some even hoped the humans would offer a peaceful excuse and avoid embarrassment. But Captain Voss stood tall. Targeting coordinates set, she said. Firing sequence in 10 seconds. Inside the Audacity, the main weapon system came online. It made no sound. There was no shaking of the ship, no glowing energy, just silence. The device at the heart of the ship began to charge. One beam. One chance, Argus whispered. One-shot protocol is ready. Voss took a breath. Fire. Nothing seemed to happen. For a moment, the observers thought there had been a malfunction. There was no blast, no explosion, no flash of light, just silence. Then, on every screen, a new alert appeared. Corn's Claw destroyed. Gasps echoed through the communication channels. The Corn's Claw, the pride of the Dravix fleet. The largest ship in their navy was gone. Not damaged, not broken. Gone. Not a single piece remained. The space where it had floated was now empty. No fire, no debris, just nothing. Panic swept through the council ships. How did they do that? Someone shouted. Where's the wreckage? Did they use a black hole? The Dravix fleet froze. Their remaining ships backed away from the Audacity, unsure what to do next. Inside the small human ship, Captain Voss gave no smile, no words of pride. She simply said, "Demonstration complete." Commander Raxel did not speak. His face, usually filled with pride and strength, was now pale and silent. His crew looked to him, but even he had no answer. The Galactic Council held an emergency session that same hour. The delegates sat in silence, eyes wide with fear and confusion. The humans had done something impossible. A single shot had erased a battleship too large to hide, and they had done it without fanfare or threat. What kind of weapon was that? Asked the Cathari representative, blinking his 6 eyes. Voss answered calmly from her seat. One we never planned to use. One that exists only to end wars, not start them. But how? Another voice asked. Captain Voss looked around the chamber. You mocked our size. You judged us by what you could see. But Earth has always been small. We survived by thinking differently. We built one weapon. One shot. That's all we need. She stood, ready to leave. We do not seek war. But if war comes, we will not fight like you do. We will end it before it begins. Then she turned and walked away, leaving the chamber in silence. Back aboard the Audacity, Argus powered down the weapon. Its charge was gone. It would take years to rebuild. But that didn't matter. One shot was enough. The destruction of the Corn's Claw spread across the galaxy like wildfire. In less than a day, every major news channel on every planet reported the same unbelievable story. Human ship destroys Dravix flagship in one shot. Earth's tiny warship changes the balance of power, fear, and shock across the Galactic Council. Millions of beings watched the footage over and over. The moment the Audacity fired, the moment the Dravix ship vanished, no sound, no explosion, just silence. And then, nothing. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council was afraid. Inside Council headquarters, chaos ruled. Delegates shouted over one another. Accusations filled the air. Some demanded that Earth be banned from developing more weapons. Others suggested that the humans be invited into special talks to learn more. The Draviks, however, were furious. High Commander Raxel had returned to his homeworld. His pride was broken, and his empire embarrassed in front of the galaxy. They must be stopped. He roared to his generals. They will not fire again if they are destroyed first. But even the Draviks' military was hesitant. If one human ship could erase a flagship in 1 second, what could more of them do? Some in the Draviks' fleet refused to engage. Others secretly moved their families away from the border near Earth, on other planets. Things were different. The Havari, a peaceful race known for their wisdom, sent a message to Earth offering friendship. The Zalan, once allies of the Draviks, but often treated unfairly, asked for technology sharing. They called humans equal partners in defense, and the free colonies, small independent systems often ignored by the Council, sent hundreds of support messages to Earth. Many saw humanity as a symbol of hope, proof that even a small voice could stand tall among giants. Back on Earth, inside the United Terran Command headquarters, the mood was both calm and tense. Captain Alara Voss stood before a group of leaders, scientists, and commanders. The Council is frightened, said Admiral Brooks, an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. They want answers. What should we tell them? Voss replied, the truth, that we have no wish to conquer, that we only fired because they challenged us. A scientist in the room asked, what if they attack us first? Voss looked at him. Then we remind them, one ship was enough. Meanwhile, inside the Audacity, the weapon was quiet. The one-shot protocol could not be used again, not without a complete rebuild, which would take years. The weapon's energy source had been designed for just one perfect strike. Argus, the ship's AI, monitored incoming signals. Messages from hundreds of systems filled its screens. Some were friendly, some were fearful, a few were angry. Shall I respond? Argus asked. Voss shook her head. Let them wonder. In space, mystery is a weapon too. Some alien analysts tried to study the footage to understand what had happened. They guessed it could be quantum energy. Others thought it was a wormhole-based strike or dimensional displacement, but no one truly knew. And that was the point. Captain Voss had said little since the demonstration. She gave no interviews. She made no threats. She allowed the galaxy to imagine the worst. And it worked. On the council floor, one of the oldest delegates, Grand Elder Saren of the Lumari, spoke to the gathering. Perhaps, she said, we have judged the humans too quickly. Perhaps their strength lies not in their weapons, but in their minds. They chose not to show power until they had no choice. That is not the act of a warmonger. That is the act of someone who hopes for peace. Some nodded. Others stayed quiet. The Draviks, however, stood and left the chamber. Earth's ambassador, a soft-spoken diplomat named Yara Chen, stayed silent as well. She knew silence now had more weight than words. Later that night, as the Audacity floated quietly in high orbit, Argus asked a question. Captain, was it wise to reveal our hand? Voss stood near the viewing window, watching the stars. Sometimes, she said, you don't fire a weapon to destroy. You fire it to change. The conversation. The galaxy was listening now, and the conversation had changed. The weeks after the demonstration were filled with tension and quiet uncertainty across the galaxy. Every civilization debated how to deal with Earth. Many wanted answers. Some demanded disarmament. Others feared the unknown power of the Audacity and its one-shot protocol. At the Galactic Council, an emergency session was called. The council chamber buzzed with voices from dozens of species. They argued fiercely. Earth must disable that weapon immediately, shouted A.K. Thari General, his 6 eyes narrowing. One strike is too dangerous for all of us. No, said a member of the free colonies. They have shown restraint. They only fired once, and only after provocation. They deserve respect. The Draviks, still smarting from their lost flagship, demanded that Earth be punished. Their leader growled. They threaten our very existence. We cannot allow such power to To roam free. Amid the shouting, a calm voice cut through the noise. Ambassador Yara Chen, Earth's diplomat, stood before the council. We understand your fear, she said gently. But we come not as conquerors. We come as survivors. She paused, then continued. The weapon aboard the Audacity was never meant to be used lightly. It was created to prevent wars, not start them. The room fell quiet. YRA spoke again. We have more ships, yes, but each carries the same limitation, one shot only after firing. They must return to Earth for repairs, which take years. Why limit yourselves? Asked one of the council elders. Because, Yar said, we remember our own past on Earth. Our ancestors fought endless wars with weapons far worse than these. We know what happens when power is unchecked. She looked around the room. We do not want to be feared. We want to be understood. Outside the council chamber, the galaxy waited. Some species considered the Earth offer. The Havari sent envoys with gifts of peace. The Zon proposed trade agreements. The free colonies invited humans to join their alliance. But the Draviks grew more hostile. Their fleets increased patrols near human space. Rumors spread that they planned to strike against Earth. In response, Earth quietly expanded its shipyards. Captain Voss oversaw the construction of new vessels, each built with the one-shot protocol. But no orders were given to arm or fire. She knew this war would not be fought with weapons alone. Back on the Audacity, artists ran simulations. Captain, if the Draviks attack, our defenses will be overwhelmed. Voss nodded. True. That is why we must be smarter. She stared out into the blackness of space. We need allies, and allies came. The Zon offered advanced shielding technology. The Havari shared knowledge about energy manipulation. Even some Draviks officers, disillusioned by their leader's aggression, quietly reached out. Together, they formed an uneasy partnership. At the council's next meeting, the debate had changed. The humans do not seek domination, said Grand Elder Saren. They seek balance. We must accept their place among us. Another delegate agreed. The Draviks still seethed, but could no longer ignore the shifting tide. Captain Voss addressed the council once more. We did not fire to threaten. We fired to protect. We will not be the first to break peace. But if forced, we will be the last to stop fighting. Her words echoed across the chamber. For the first time, many felt respect for the humans. As the meeting ended, Voss returned to her ship. Artis's voice was soft. You have changed the galaxy, Captain. She smiled faintly. No, we have only reminded them that power is not just strength. It is choice. The galaxy was watching, and humanity had made its choice. The Galactic Council met one final time to decide Earth's future. Months had passed since the Audacity fired its single shot. The memories still lived in every corner of the galaxy. Fear had turned into respect. Curiosity had become diplomacy. But the Council needed answers. They had seen what the human weapon could do. They had heard Earth's words. Now they needed to understand what kind of civilization humanity truly was. Captain Alara Voss was called to speak, not just as a soldier, but as a voice for her entire planet. She stood at the center of the council chamber. Lights above her glowed. Gently, and the curved seats of every major species surrounded her. Some faces were calm. Some were still unsure. A few were quietly angry. But all were listening. Captain Voss took a breath and began. Long ago, Earth was full of war. Our people fought each other over land, resources, and beliefs. We built terrible weapons. We destroyed cities. We came close to ending ourselves. Many delegates leaned in, surprised by her honesty. But we learned, Voss continued. We suffered. And from that suffering, we grew. We started to value peace. We learned that true power is not in how many weapons you have, but in how carefully you choose to use them. She looked around the room. You saw the Audacity. You saw our one shot. But that was never meant to impress you. It was a message. A message that we do not take war lightly. A soft voice from the Cathari side asked, then why build such a weapon? Voss nodded. Because we knew one day someone stronger would test us, and we wanted to be ready. Not to win a war, but to stop one before it began. The chamber remained silent. High Commander Raxel of the Dravix stood slowly. His face was hard to read. For many cycles, he said, we thought strength meant domination. We mocked your ship because it looked weak. But now I understand it was not. Weak, it was prepared, quiet, waiting. He turned to face Voss. We do not like being challenged, Captain, but we respect truth. And your truth has reached even us, this time. No laughter followed his words. Grand Elder Saren of the Lumari rose next. The humans have shown us something rare. They acted with courage, but also with restraint. I propose we grant Earth full membership in the Council, with equal rights and voice. The vote began. One by one, species gave their decision. The votes in favor rose quickly. Even some of the Dravix allies, who had once mocked Earth, changed. Their minds at last. The final result was clear. Earth was accepted. Applause echoed in the chamber, not loud, but steady and respectful. Captain Voss bowed her head slightly. Thank you. We will serve not with power, but with purpose. Back on the Audacity. As it waited quietly in orbit, Argus spoke. You have done what many thought was impossible. Voss stood near the viewing window, watching council ships move through space like stars dancing in the void. We didn't want to conquer, she said. We only wanted to be heard. Argus responded. You were. On Earth, celebrations began. For the first time in history, humanity stood as equals in a galaxy filled with ancient empires. Not because they had the biggest army, not because they had the most ships, but because they had shown the wisdom to hold back. The Audacity became a symbol. It was placed in orbit as a permanent reminder not of war, but of peace through strength. Visitors from across the stars came to see it. School children learned its story, and new leaders studied the lesson of the one-shot protocol. Humanity continued to build new ships, but none were designed to fire often. Each followed the same principle: only fire once, and only if there is no other choice. Because Earth had learned something the galaxy had forgotten. Sometimes, true power is not in the weapon you use, but in the decision not to use it.